Good evening, wherever you may be. I'm Louise Hicks, your host of Aimed to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour, and I am live on YouTube. I decided to go live on YouTube, and I'm going to stream still sometimes on my Facebook Live. But today or tonight, wherever you might be watching this, I just had something to say because I am a Black woman, as you can see, and I am I am just appalled at what Miss Ebony K. Williams had to say about single Black women, because once upon a time I was a single Black woman. Now I'm not a single Black woman. But back in the day when I might have been her age or so forth, I was a single Black woman. And I had three children, one being a daughter, my youngest one, who is now 33. And I'm 72. However, I'm not your average 72 years of age Black woman. This is why I'm in here. It's early in the morning, and if you're watching me live on YouTube, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for supporting me on all of my endeavors. This is not new to me because I did have a show with my son, Kenan Wesley Mason, who has his own business, Kinetic Fit and Wellness, and he's also has a YouTube channel, The Kinetic Hour, and I'm very proud of him. My daughter, excuse me, who is an entrepreneur as well, and my other son, who is somewhat disabled now. He was a cancer victim at the age of 14, excuse me, went on to battle depression and drug addiction, and I am his conservator. And I am an author, an award winning author at that. And I am a motivational speaker. I am a podcaster doing this live right now for my podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour, that I started back in January of 2022. And I started this in order to elevate our Black community because I saw too many inappropriate behaviors, and I've seen a lot. I've just experienced a lot over my lifetime. And when I hear foolishness, I have to come in and say something about it. And Ebony K. Williams, I must say, you're the one that said you would only marry or date, I should say, a bus driver if he owned the bus. That was a pretty low blow, but I guess you didn't know any better on what you said, even though you tried to clean it up. And others have tried to clean it up for you, but I'm not here to clean it up because I take it for what it is. And now you're out here addressing single Black women. And I'm speaking because I have a daughter that's a single Black woman. And your foolishness, I would never want my daughter to follow what you're out here advocating, because you're advocating something that's very dear to me, which is the Black community and our Black family structure. And it's ridiculous what you've said. And I wanted to share a little bit of what you said, but I guess I won't be able to share it here. If I was on Zoom, I would be able to share it, but anyone can go up and they can see what you had to say about single Black women, advocating them to go to a sperm bank. In essence, forget about the Black men, Black families. And I think that's a disservice. Well, I know it's a disservice to our Black community because of the by design of this society to keep Black people in a second class position. And perhaps you wouldn't know anything about that because maybe you haven't done your due diligence, you haven't done your research, and maybe you're just out to get numbers. I'm not out here to get numbers. I'm out here to educate, because as Black people, we are perishing for a lack of a lack of knowledge. We're perishing. And it's people like you and some of the others out here with a bunch of this foolishness on social media that you are hurting our Black community. You're hurting Black people that are following your nonsense. And I'm here to tell you that you need to go and educate yourself, and maybe you realize what you're doing. And I'm speaking because I'm a type of person, I am a baby boomer, that is, because I'm 72. However, I'm one of these baby boomers that's not sitting back all day in a wheelchair, on a cane, with multiple illnesses. I am not on any medication. And I'm an advocate and an activist in the mental health and medical uh, industry because of my son, who I spoke about and I speak about, that um, catapulted me into an award winning author because I wrote a book about the atrocities or the tragedy that we went through as a result of him coming down with cancer when he was only 14 and he's now 42. He is a survivor, thank God, to him having a mother that's not afraid to speak up and speak out to disrespectful doctors and anybody else that I've come across who have not been educated on the mental health system and the degradation of this mental health system toward us as Black people. Go and do some research and you will find out what's going on. So if you haven't seen what Miss Ebony K. Williams has said about Black women, go check it out. It's all over the YouTube, and everybody, there are lots of people I'm sure that's talking about it. And I found out about it because it was sent to me by someone on YouTube that alerted me to it, because I do a lot of surfing myself and just seeing what's out here that we can talk about that will help elevate our Black community to a higher level of consciousness. And I know there are some younger, I should say, Gen Xers and millennials who are out here peddling a bunch of foolishness, following a lot of these rappers who are calling us names. And it's like as if some of us, women and men, are glorifying this. And I don't glorify it. You can call me whatever you want to, old school, old. I don't care, because it doesn't matter to me. Because I tell you what, I'm one to speak up and speak out, because I've gone through a lot of discrimination in my 72 years, in the job market, in the housing market, you name it. So I don't have an issue with speaking out, because we are perishing for lack of knowledge, and we're perishing. A lot of it has to do with a lack of unity and all the foolishness that's going on, that's divisive for us as a community, and it's divisive for the entire country. So when I see nonsense like what you're peddling, Ebony K. Williams, I have to speak up and speak out about it, because I would never want my daughter to follow anybody like you. And you said that you are an attorney. Well, I'm not an attorney by going to school, getting the degree that you probably got. However, I have practiced law, and I practice it with one of the biggest entities in the country, that is the County of Los Angeles. And I won my discriminatory lawsuit. I didn't have an attorney. I went in pro per, and I did it because it's called pro per in the state of California when you practice law on yourself. So there's a disclaimer that I have here that I am not an attorney. However, I have practiced law in pro per on myself, as well as in pro se in the state of Texas, because I did have to do a small claims case in the state of Texas where I had to advocate for myself. And they call it pro se here in the state of Texas, where I am right now. But I'm just appalled at the audacity of you to just go out and out and tell Black women what they should be doing. Who are you? Just because you're an attorney and you have a degree behind your name, that doesn't mean anything to me, because I have a degree behind my name too. I have a bachelor's in social work. And I can assure you that it's a lot of us out here that need therapy. We need therapy, and we need it desperately, because our mindset is in such a bad space and a bad place until we don't really understand, I believe, with wisdom as well as understanding what we are doing to one another. And we need to stop it. We need to stop this nonsense. And it's just craziness. And for those of us who are following this nonsense, we need to go and do some due diligence, because we are perishing as an ethnic group for lack of knowledge. And for those baby boomers who are my age, and if you're out here, in which some of us are out here, we are some of the reason why some of these Gen Xers and the millennials are the way they are, because many of us, and I'm telling you what I know, many of us got strung out on drugs, strung out on this rap music telling you what you should do, how you should get drugs, killing one another. And I'm not saying that other people aren't killing one another either, because they are. However, they haven't gone through chattel slavery and the Willie Lynch syndrome that many of us are still in. And I'm just appalled at some of the crap that I see and hear out here on social media as a Black woman who is striving to elevate our community to a higher level of consciousness so that we can become economically, spiritually, socially, intellectually, uh, just healthier in the mind, healthier in the body. Because we have some serious problems, some serious inappropriate behaviors that's holding us back. And it seems that women like Eboni K. Williams, you're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution, because if you were, you would not be peddling this type of information that you are peddling, which is really telling Black women you don't have to be a part of this family structure, which is the foundation of unifying us. So you need to re-examine your thoughts, and maybe you need some therapy. Because like I said, I have a bachelor's in social work and I have a PhD. So I don't need a PhD, and I don't have a law degree. However, law is nothing but common sense. And I haven't gone through law school, in which I was going to go. I applied, but I didn't go because I had my daughter 33 years ago, and I chose to be there for her as opposed to being a lawyer at the time, because I understand law enough where I didn't have to go to law school. Like I said, I have a PhD, been around for a long time, 72 years, seen a lot, experienced a lot, and I'm just fed up with all this foolishness. And I wish we had more baby boomers that could come out here and speak up and speak out, rather than sitting back, doing nothing, saying nothing, and some of us just sitting around waiting to die and just indulging ourselves, creating more health issues for ourselves. Many of us have a medicine cabinet full of pills. I got to have a pill pack to take this pill. I don't have a pill pack to take any pills, because I don't have diabetes. I don't have high blood pressure. And I'm not saying that to put anybody down. I'm saying this because we need to elevate ourselves to a higher level of consciousness, and we need to stop the nonsense. And I wish more of people my age would get on board with the younger generation, that the younger generation of people that are using their common sense, they're using their critical thinking skills, because there are some top-notch Gen Xers and millennials who have the common sense to understand that we need to bring ourselves to a higher level of consciousness. And it's sad when you see some of this nonsense, this divisiveness that's out here by some of you young people, spewing hate among yourselves and against each other. What is this all about? Why are you entrapped in this Willie Lynch syndrome? And if you don't know who Willie Lynch is, go to the library and get the book or either you can order it. It's very inexpensive. It's called The Willie Lynch Letters and the Making of a Slave. And that's what many of us are. We're like little slaves running around here. And I'm not putting you guys down. I'm taking my generation too, because a lot of us in my generation, we're responsible for this because we got caught up. I didn't. I didn't get caught up on these illegal drugs and legal drugs either. And so many of us got caught up in the baby boomers. We were out here taking crack and going to work all kind of ways, drunk. And how are you going to raise a decent child? And then we're wondering why these millennials and these Gen Xers are the way they are. It's because of many of us. And we have to accept responsibility and accountability for our indulgence and what we did. And I didn't get on illegal drugs. I've never taken any illegal drugs. And very few legal, only when it was necessary, that I felt it was necessary. Because many of these doctors, they will shove a pill down your throat in a heartbeat. Because who are they supporting? Big pharma. And I'm going to be doing some things on that too. So I just wanted to address Eboni K. Williams. And if you haven't seen it, please go and check out her video where she is telling single Black women to go to the sperm bank. And I said, say what? Go to the sperm bank and get you some sperm? When there are some decent Black men out here, as well as some decent Black women. And the ones who aren't, you have to look at who raised these women, some and men, some of them by single Black women who many of them were strung out on drugs, and they're my age. I know what I'm talking about because I worked with some of them. I lived among some of them. And nobody put a gun to your head and forced you to get crack cocaine and start killing up one another. And again, that's not to say that other people don't kill up one another too, because we know each ethnic group, they kill up one another too. The problem I have with this is they haven't gone through the atrocities of being enslaved. And I don't mean them personally. I'm talking about generational from our ancestors that has passed on, and the healing has not been there. So that's why I say so many of us need therapy, and we need to know the root cause of why we react the way we do. There's a root cause for that, and it's called chattel slavery. And some of us have never come out of that mindset. And some older people, I've sat around with some people, my generation, I have to get up and just move because they have no substance to their conversation. Some of them, they're so entrapped in white supremacy and the Yassa Massa syndrome until they don't know how to come out of it. And a lot of this has rubbed off on children, generation to generation. And that's where the problem lies. We have to look at the root cause of it. And it's so sad. So let's examine ourselves and stop following some of this nonsense and foolishness that's out here on social media. It's ridiculous. So Eboni K. Williams, you need to check yourself. And that's what I'm going to tell you. Check yourself and stop thinking that there are single women that don't have a brain enough where they're going to follow some of that foolishness that you're talking and your nonsense. There are a lot of single women out here that are very, very knowledgeable and intelligent. And the ones who aren't, hopefully they will catch up. I was once upon a time a single Black woman. However, I had a mindset where I would never listen to any of that garbage that you talk. I don't know whether it's for you to get ratings or what, but if it is, I'm sorry. I would never advocate my daughter to listen to anything that you have to say because it's meaningless and it does nothing to elevate and bring our people to a higher level of consciousness. And one other thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to close out this video, and that's on you, President Biden, and you, Vice President Harris, who went down to Florida talking a bunch of foolishness as well to get some votes. And I just wonder, why are these Black people continuously voting for people like you? And I tell everybody, The Democratic Party and the Republican Party is one snake with two heads. That's all it is. One snake with two heads. And for those of us who keep following these Democrats, it's pathetic. Joe Biden signed in yesterday a symbolic document to establish a monument in honor of Emmett Till and his mother. Unfortunately, that's nothing but a symbolic way for him to continue to get your votes. If you guys want Joe Biden to do something for you, you got to stop sitting back and acting like these symbolic gestures are going to economically empower you, because it's not. Juneteenth, this Emmett Till, and may they rest in peace, because it's nonsense. We need reparations for what our forefathers, and mothers went through when they were raped, beaten, tortured, castrated. That's what we need to be fighting for. All of this other foolishness out here and all of this divisiveness among us, we have to stop that, because that's getting us nowhere. And going out here voting for people like Joe Biden, who put a lot of Black men in prison. If he wants to do something, why doesn't he discuss reparations, since he's giving all this money, our tax dollars, over to Ukraine? I haven't seen him give anything to the Haitian people. When they came over, they were rounding them up with whips and everything and horses. But you welcome these other migrants and the Ukrainian people. And I have nothing against the Ukrainian people. However, their forefathers and mothers didn't suffer chattel slavery over here and build this country. And now they over here getting our tax dollars when we have starving people over here in this country that you're not doing anything for. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. So that's what we need to be discussing, and stop being distracted by some of this nonsense out here. Like some of you might have been talking about the gentleman that wrote the song, Not Gonna Happen in His Town. And I don't have an issue with that, because that's another distraction. Jason Aldean, that's another distraction. It's not going to happen in my small town, or whatever the name of it is. Because to tell you the truth, no matter where he had done the song at, and I talked about this on Sunday on my podcast, somebody was hung most likely in any space in the United States that you would go and shoot a video or whatever. Most likely a Black person was hung, castrated, mutilated, whatever. So why are you being distracted by something like this, when we should be telling Joe Biden, we don't need all these symbolic things that you're giving us. We need to be economically empowered, and you need to pay for all the labor that our ancestors did back in when they were enslaved and being beaten to work for nothing, because white people were too lazy to go out and work at the time. So they brought some slaves over. Apparently they didn't know what to do. And then here's this crazy man, the governor down there in Florida, saying that slavery benefited us. Slavery did not benefit any Black person, DeSantis. I'm here to tell you that's a lie. And anybody that's peddling that lie, that's a lie. It did not benefit anybody, not us as Black people. There was no benefit. Black people did, when you brought them over here, did you think they lacked skills? Did you think they lacked common sense? Hell to the no, because if they had, you wouldn't have brought them over here in the first place. Your ancestors, your forefathers. I'm not meaning you particularly. And if any white person is offended by this, that tells me that you're not a righteous-minded Christian person, quote unquote, because this country is not Christian, because you don't go, if you are a Christian, and tear up the Capitol, what they did on the insurrection. And we know if that was Black people out there doing that, it would have been a bloodbath out there. And I speak up and speak out, because I know what I've gone through, and I've never been fired from a job for speaking up and speaking out. And believe me, I do it. And we need more of our baby boomers to stop sitting back, being afraid to speak. Start speaking up. You have the power. And especially those who are claiming, well, I'm a Christian. Do you know what 2 Timothy 1:7 says? Says God has not given us the spirit of fear, but a power, of love, and a sound mind. So where is your love for your fellow Black person? And this is for anybody that's claiming to be a Christian. Where's the love you have for wanting? And we are the most hated people on the planet. And for Black women in this country, it's like everybody is trying to hone in now and sucker punch us. We're not a deck of cards to be played with, because there are some of us who will not sit back and listen to this BS that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, uh, the lady I just spoke about, Miss Eboni K. Williams. I'm not one of those people. And thank God that I'm not, because I take a lot from my mother, who passed away at the age of 92 in 2015. And she did not take that crap back in the day. I used to see how my parents were treated, my father, my mother, and they would tell me about my grandparents, how they were treated. And this stuff still goes on. So for people to say, oh, things have changed. No, they haven't changed, because if they had changed, why did we have to have a so-called Civil Rights Act of 1964? And why are we still out here fighting to get economically empowered like we should be? And why were all of these thriving Black towns destroyed by white supremacists? So no, there is no change. So with that said, I'm going to tell you, your power lies within you. Let it loose. Stop Joe Biden, Kamala Harris in their tracks, because all they're doing now is working to get your vote and do nothing for you, like they've done, all the Democrats have done in the past. And I have not been of either party since I was in my 30s, because I have done my due diligence, and I know all of these things are by design to hold us back. And I'm not afraid to speak it, and I will not be held back, because I will speak. And I know they will, YouTube and all these different social medias, they will remove you if you say something against what their beliefs are, which that means they are unrighteous and they're hateful people. And I've worked with them. So I can tell you, I'm retired now, but I'm not retired, because I'm still speaking up and speaking out. Never been fired because of my speaking up and speaking out and being able to articulate and document. And that's what we have to learn to do: articulate, document, educate ourselves, and understand that this system is against us. As Margaret Sanger went around to the Black churches trying to teach how they can figure out and help the Black people, help to exterminate us. It's a damn disgrace what this country has done. And now here's the people like DeSantis, and even here in Texas, putting in the textbooks, from my understanding, that slaves were interns. When since did an intern get raped, beaten, castrated? So many lies. And we don't need anybody, white supremacists, teaching our children in the first place, because you're not going to teach them the truth of our history in America. And this is all American history, and it's an atrocity. Thank God I went to an all Black school, and I had all Black teachers that taught us in the schools that I went to. I went to college with whites, and believe me, I saw the hatefulness when I started going to college in 1969 out at Long Beach City College, and graduated from California State University, Long Beach. I saw it firsthand, the racism. And I have to say this before I go. You can talk about the North, South, East, and West. I've lived in the South. I've been in the West all of my life, because I lived in California practically all my life. I was never called a nigger to my face until I moved to California and was in college at that. So we're talking 1970s. Even had one of my little students, when I was a teacher's aide going to college, tell me her parents taught her that we were niggers, and she was a second grader. Didn't know any better. She'd run up and hug me every day and say, "Oh, Miss Hicks, I love you, and I'm so happy to see you." And called me a nigger one day and said her mother told her that. And I told her, "You go tell your mother that niggers are ignorant." And when her mother came to open house, she didn't expect to see me. She looked like she could have slithered under the door like a snake, in which she was a snake at that time, I'm sure, and a hateful one at that, to teach your children such hate. That's how all this stuff came about. It's hate. And it's still being taught to these children by white supremacists. And it's a disgrace. This country is so divided and in shambles because of the hate. It's evil, hate and evil. And I'm sick of it. And that's why I speak up and speak out about it. So with that said, I'm going to say good night, good morning, good evening, whatever time zone you're in. Please share my video, because this needs to be, we need to elevate one another. And if any white people, if you're listening to it, if you're righteous minded, you need to hear the truth. If you're not righteous minded, you're continue to be a hater and evil, but it catches up with you eventually. So remember, your power lies within you. Let it loose, because your destiny is your command. And you need to stand up for what you believe in, which is righteousness. So we'll talk later. Believe me, I will be on again. So I'm signing off, and thank you all for watching and supporting me. I'm on every Sunday. I'll let you know when I come on my Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. I talk about some of the same things on Facebook Live, but now I'm going to be going on YouTube Live. I'm not going to be doing Facebook Live, and I'll be on YouTube. Sometimes I'll come in like I am now, and sometimes I will most likely do the Zoom via YouTube. So thank you all again. I'm Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour, and I'll be back. Subscribe, share, and let's move forward, because we must elevate ourselves to a higher level of consciousness, because nobody else will, because nobody cares about Black people. They'd love to see us exterminated off the face of the earth, but we're not going anywhere. So good night, good day, and have a great rest of your week, and see you all on Sunday, if not before. Thank you for watching.